I think, all of us racialized folks have experienced some sort of racism.
In terms of racism in the overall, experienced racism as a black man in society.
Yeah, I've faced racism in society. I face it every day.
Thank you. Asking that question about the racism in the society, today's society, even with all of our information out there, it's actually still happening to our people.
There's a complete misunderstanding and misknowledge of race, and there's a complete ignorance of what it means to be people and in different cultures and different races, and it goes back hundreds and hundreds of years, all the way back to slavery.
It's a travesty to think that that these things were happening back then, that racialized people weren't looked at as equals. We're still not in a lot of capacities.
From what my grandpa told me, the history, it came from the settlers that wanted to take away our land, take away our rights. And I think they were scared that maybe we would chase them off. All we did was help them survive and help them be able to live off the land so they could actually survive.
For me, I've experienced it as a child growing up.
I mean, I've been around for 32 years, so I've had different forms of it. But I'll give you the most recent one.
It was a woman. She proceeded to get out of her car and screamed, "You stupid effing N-word" at me from the outside of her car. That took me aback a bit.
One time I was taking the transit home, and I was walking along a bridge that had a narrow walkway. And as he passed me, he kind of grabbed at my laptop that I was carrying, and he yelled, "Oh, go back to your own country."
Walking around in predominantly white neighborhoods and people asking me if I'm lost.
During a festival here, an actual black festival, where a couple hotels changed their policy in a way that they register guests and how many guests in the room. Ultimately, you had to wear a wristband. And we actually went to the Human Rights Commission with that complaint, especially to have to wear a wristband in order to be identified at a hotel that on a normal basis, I stay there 30 times a year and I can walk in and out without any restrictions. It felt like a bit uncomfortable for me and probably hit a little bit home closer because of my, role with the union. Quite frankly, it was an education not just for myself and my committee, but for our, I call them the corporate union, the mainstream union, that they didn't realize that these things were happening.
When the act happened, I felt really angry. I thought, this is my home as much as it is anybody else's home. Like, why are they asking me to, go home?
The pandemic removed the veil from racism. These feelings existed, these problems existed, these systems existed. The slurs, the feelings, the sentiments, they all existed. They all were spoken in different lights. Maybe we weren't in tune to it. Maybe we weren't focused on it.
For me, I experienced racism in the workplace in terms of hiring, right? I've applied for jobs with the same credentials, the same experience level as others and have not gotten the job.
For racialized people, we've always had to do more in that regard. We've always had to prove ourselves more.
I'm what they call a Canadian accredited appraiser. I have this qualification that only 24 people out of 2,000 in my organization have. It's a free appraiser designation. It's a top qualification. It's a federal qualification in Canada. This job that I'm doing right now, which is called valuation specialist, I had to grieve to get it. Most of the people had a real easier run getting these jobs than I did.
Once I was attending a union meeting. It was around the time a number of years ago where there was attacks, I think they were in Los Angeles, against Asian women. I think they were shot. And I was listening to what the members there had to say. And then at one point, one of the members spoke up and said, and this member was a Caucasian person, and she said, "I stand in solidarity with Asian people, and the events of this shooting have, I want to let you know that I support you." For me, that was a very, very strange event, because in that moment, I felt different. For me in the room, I was like, well, do I say thank you for that? I'm not even sure what I'm thanking them for.
Even though I'm working for BCGU, and I'm working for legal aid. We've had where some of the intake workers, they would say, "Oh my God, you people, you guys should have something done and so that you guys can't have kids anymore. They keep getting taken away." And I was just like aghast. And I go, "Excuse me?" And this was a friend of mine.
Being in a situation where I have to explain racism, I have to explain my experiences, I have to validate my experiences. What I say is not just taken at face value, it's not taken as truth, but I have to continually tell people this is what it is, this is what it is, this is what I experience, this is what I feel. Well, why do I have to continually do that at all times? And why do I have to be the spokesperson? And then if I'm speaking about my personal experience, am I then expected to be speaking about my group on a whole? And that's not fair.
I find when we speak up and we kind of give truth to what our life experiences are, some people, don't get me wrong, there are allies out there. I'm not saying that there isn't, but there's still a notion that it's like, oh, here we go again. Here are the angry black people complaining again. You know, like, what are they complaining about today? You know, so, and we need to get beyond that.
For those people that want to express their solidarity or their support or to be an ally, is to really look at the people that you are addressing. Make sure that they're part of the conversation and make sure that you're talking to them and not at them, right? Or having a discussion with them and explaining, making sure that it's a two-way dialogue.
Speaking to every delegate at the convention or who will be attending the convention of how they can combat racism is accept that it exists. Stop asking for proof. Stop asking for testimonials. Just take for a fact that it does exist. Now that you know that it exists, what are you going to do about it? Only way that we can continue to have the conversations to move this topic, this conversation forward, is to have the conversations. Right? We have to be in a place where we are uncomfortable.
I think what we have to do is we have to get our speakers from our people in our communities to come in and actually say, this is what's happened to us. This is the reality. Do you have any questions? This is what we think we can do to help you change and actually to follow up. Not just have a workshop and then everyone, okay, yeah, thank you, tick, 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 we did the workshop. Okay, why don't we come back? Because then that's being proactive. That's showing that, okay, that employer is really interested in making change.
Don't just hire racialized folks to fill the quota. Hire racialized folks with the intention that you want their contributions to your organization because it makes it better. And if you ever look up any, statistics or anything on do racialized folks make your organization better, 100% it does.
If you want to really achieve social justice and anti-racism and anti-black education, you need to look at you need to profile your membership. You really do. And you need to profile the senior levels, the executive board, and you need to look at your staff as well. Does your staff, are they a mirror of your membership? Do they represent the people that are in the locals?
Unions have been around for a long time, and certainly for HSA, we've been around for 50 years. We do things in a certain way, and we think that's the best way to do it. Those views from different people with different experiences and come from different backgrounds to tell us, that the way that we've done things, just because it's the way we've done things in the past, it may not be the best way, or it may not be the only way to approach a problem. That's certainly something that we've learned a lot through our processes, discussing the formation of this committee with our BIPOC caucus, is that, we had a process and a plan to follow, which is a blueprint. It's similar to how we followed it for forming any other committee that we've had. And when we presented it to the BIPOC caucus, they said, no, we want to do things differently. We want to have more direction in how the committee will be formed or how the terms of reference will be built. And so that made us pause and say, let's listen to the people and what they're telling us. And how can we make sure that we can build something that works for not just for the union, but for them as well, and a process where everybody feels like they have a stake in it.
My name is Megan Carter.
My name is Peter Thompson.
Why incha isquis quill pizza? Inchu wapi isquis Coralie Gregoire.
My name is Michael Hamilton.
My name is Kane Say.
My name is Renford Thomas. Unity is our power.